playing Fnatic, it's gonna be really scary for me. I think I'm gonna be nervous on that game.
Last year was Reckless, Yellow Star, XPK, Swas. Everyone was the same teammates.
There will be something extra there. Even if you say there's not, there's always this thing that you're like, I just want to win even more, you know?
You have a lot of hype. You don't want to disappoint people.
I think both teams will put their best to win. They are not gonna want to lose to the whole team.
Some of the Fnatic players against the other half of the Fnatic players. What are you going to root for, you know?
LCS studios in Berlin, Germany, where the action is ramping up as we kick off week 4 of the summer split. The crowd is hyped and ready to go for our big matches today. As you can see, the studio is packed and everyone is ready to go. A lot of fans waiting outside. Just a moment to go. Some OG fans there looking to cheer for that team in Game 3, that is versus Fnatic, and their Giants playing a little bit of football. I bet they're smelling good doing it as well as of this point. Wow, some great moves. And their Gambit, on the other hand, talking some strats with Sean's, their new coach, of course, gearing up for that very first game of the day. Their Betsy goes to Pepper, talking a little bit to his AD carry Forgiven, and their Pyra getting a little bit of powder, and the Fisho putting the moves on whoever. Well, anyway, I'm Ifje, Shock's supporter at the helm of the analyst desk, and here to lend a hand this week is Season 1 World Champion Lauri, Cyanide happening, as well as our very own Mitch Kreppel Voorspools, and Trevor Quickshot Henry.
I just want to say that I really look forward to see all the good Fnatic members back on stage, and Lauri here, I guess.
Yes.
Well, not quite ready to go yet, but as the halfway point of the split draws closer, let's take a look at those standings. They're no longer the same, no longer OG and Fnatic undefeated at the top, but Fnatic there, 6-0, followed by H2K and Origin at 5-1.
I just think it's a bit surprising that suddenly H2K is among those teams in the top 3. Everybody was always looking at Fnatic, at Origin, undefeated, but everybody seemed to forget about H2K.
Yeah, then looking a little bit deeper in the table, Giants, who have been on an absolute surge with some other teams not being able to find their footing. I'm thinking of SK, I'm thinking of Elements.
Yeah, I think on the side of the bottom half of the table, for teams like Gambit, Elements, Rocket, they're still trying to find their footing, still trying to figure out what's working. And for SK, they've got to fix what's broken because there's so many problems within the team. They're losing multiple games based on different reasons. So 0-6 could be one of the worst starts to a split for SK.
Yeah, Cyanide, what's your impression of the standings? OG, of course, maybe unexpected at some, but at the top of the tables.
I did expect Origin to do good, of course, because my bros XPK and Swas being there, so I believed in them all along. And of course, Giants doing pretty well as well, like 4-2. And of course, SK and Gambit just very, very disappointing.
Yeah, we will see how that turns up today. We do have some bit of news on the front of Rocket as they have changed their AD carry. Mr. Rawls is now in there instead of Woolite. They did pick up another winner there last week when they were still with Woolite, but they found it more important to change their AD carry going into this week, Kreppel.
Yeah, just Rawl is joining right now in for Rocket. It's just a safer version, I feel, of Woolite, and that's what they needed. They don't need any more flashy plays because they have moments of brilliance, but I feel, yeah, they were dropping the ball in the mid-to-late game with Woolite in particular.
I think so too. It's good to see Mr. Riles back. He did play with MYM in the previous split. He was actually playing with Wicked's team Denial, who just recently qualified for the Challenger Series. So Mr. Riles has been keeping up in terms of competitive play, and we'll see if he can perform to a satisfactory level for Rocket on stage.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see this new Rocket as well, because I feel like half the games Rocket lost was just because of Woolite standing on a lane and getting caught or just running in a team fight. So with Mr. Alice, maybe they can have some more satisfying performances.
Yeah, we will see. They have a lot to play with as they have patch 5.11 hitting in what they're playing on today. One of the biggest things in there is, of course, the LeBlanc nerf.
Yeah, it really is a big change, but not to damage. So the missile speed on LeBlanc's Distortion, her W's been dropped relatively significantly. It means that she can be targetable when she tries to jump in and burst you, and it allows their opponent some counterplay. Keep in mind that damage has not been altered, so if somebody is a very confident, comfortable LeBlanc player, I still think we could see her, just not the same amount. She was banned 19 times out of the last 30 games.
Yeah, and we also saw in 5.11 right now a little bit of a tweak on Caitlyn. her headshot got changed a little bit to penetrate more bonus armor. So for later in the game, that will do a lot more damage. And you might see the likes of Forgiven finally picking her back up because she's that high range, 80 carry bully that he might use to get that advantage, play that signature Forgiven push and poke style. But in addition to that, we can't forget Ryze. Ryze so far, and you talked about bans earlier, LeBlanc was banned a little bit, but Ryze has been banned or picked every single game since his buff. And I played a couple of games with Solo Q earlier today and just showed me again why Ryze is such a monster, and you really don't want to give that away unless you have a counter ready.
Yeah, and the other thing that is also going to be interesting to note is the fact that Gragas and Rek'Sai went unchanged this patch. And, we did see a small nerf to Gragas last week. It didn't affect him. Still 100% picked or banned in the European LCS. And I'm going to be interested to see how the priorities change in 5.11, considering some of these picks have been modified a bit.
Yeah, and I'm quite sure that Gragas Rek'Sai is going to be a high priority in our game of the week, Fnatic versus Origin at this Game 3. And before we get to the rest of the schedule, let's see what the pros in the EU LCS think of this marquee matchup.
Origin against Fnatic, two of the best teams in ULCS.
I don't know. I think, I don't know, it's just a match we're all waiting for. Like, we just want to see it,
I mean, obviously Origin has probably the best chance in Europe to beat Fnatic right now, but I still think Fnatic is a better team. I'm pretty excited to see the 1v1 in that lane.
It's like a revenge kinda, like, you left me, but I'm gonna beat you because now my team is stronger.
Yo creo que el duelo entre Fnatic y Origen no se decidirá ni en el top ni en el medio, creo que va a ser más entre botlanes, porque la botlane que salga ganadora va a reventar a la otra.
Fnatic versus them will be a bloodbath, I think, but overall Fnatic will come out ahead.
I still think Fnatic overall are the better team.
Yeah, as a winner of this, might be considered the best team in Europe, but they still have to face H2K to prove themselves.
I'm just joking.
Well, a lot of the pros calling it for Fnatic there. You, of course, have some super special insight into both of the teams, so what's your prediction?
It's gonna be super exciting. Like I'm so hyped for this match, seeing like the bot side of my old team playing against the top side. Of course, the Brad Pitt lookalike jungler is missing, which is kind of disappointing, but we have him here, so.
We will see, but we do have a full slate of matches today, starting with the Giants versus Gambit, and then Elements versus Roccat, as said, our game of the week there, OG Fnatic, and we're going to be ending up today with the Copenhagen Wolves versus H2K. And with Cyanide on the desk this week, we wanted to share him with you folks at home in the Twitterverse. Tweet at LOL Esports throughout the day with the hashtag AskCyanide, and we'll pick his brain later in the day. And if you have a question?
I actually do. I want to know how actively you're watching LCS at the moment, because you've seen you streaming. I know you were in DreamHack last weekend, but are you keeping up with all of the teams in summer and spring and whatnot?
I try to watch most of the games, like the most exciting one, of course, like Origin Fnatic. So I probably watch like around 80% of the games. So sometimes, of course, I'm playing at the same time or whatnot, but I follow.
That game hasn't happened yet, so you're saying you're watching nothing?
You're saying Origin and Fnatic games.
Sorry. Anyway.
I can also see the future.
Oh, okay. Ooh, there we go. But for now, it is time to look at our very first matchup, which pits Giants Gaming up against Gambit. And we're going to start with a look at the 4-2 Giants on the blue side. Warlip, Frederick, Pepinero, Adri, Godfred, and Lothar. So they went 1-1 in week 3, and what we mainly remember is the fact that versus Fnatic, that big matchup for them, they decided to go for a role swap, which didn't work out. Just to illustrate, usually they are 1,700 gold ahead on average at 20 minutes. Versus Fnatic, they were 7,000 down at 20 minutes. You could say that was a failed experiment.
Yeah, and not only a failed experiment, I just feel like it was a missed opportunity. When you finally get against a team that is on paper so much better than you, both in like micro and macro level play, you just want to see how far away you are from them. I would have liked to see Giants play their signature style, try their hardest, maybe even pull out a win and just see how close they can get. And then, okay, if you swap, then at least go full cheese. They went Lucian and Lulu in different roles. That just ruined it for everybody, because Adri didn't leave a mark. Pepinero, he got 1 kill, but that was mostly due to a misplay of the Fnatic bottom lane, in my opinion. So just disappointing for Giants. I would have liked to see them try harder and see just how big the difference is right now, because we don't know how good Giants are at the very moment.
And definitely squandered opportunity. You should make the most of those. I do remember you guys with the old Fnatic going for quite a risky role swap a long time ago.
It wasn't that risky because, we were playing against this guy, so we knew we would win anyway. But so yeah, we had role swaps. Actually, Soas went as Blitzcrank bot lane, and Yellowstar went top Shen, I think. So that worked out pretty well for us. Like Soas totally carried that game. That was the time when Forgan was the Anivia god. So every time he was just putting a wall, he was getting hooked, and then the wall kind of backfired.
Yeah, I can't believe who does that. You know, swap roles, puts a blitzcrank on the bottom lane played by somebody else. You know, and then hypothetically put another Anivia God in the mid lane. Yeah, that just sounds so
one
weird.
game. You won one game as an
100% win rate.
Every day.
Stats don't lie.
Yeah, the nice trip down memory lane here. For now, though, we got to concentrate on the teams that are very relevant as of now. Giants, as said, they have the good run so far, but we have to look at how strong they really are, knowing the teams they've beat so far: SK, Copenhagen Wolves, Roccat, and Elements.
Yeah, and when you look at those 4 teams, the combined tallies of their records in the summer split is 5 and 19. So what that means is the teams that Giants are currently beating are predominantly losing the vast majority of their matches. So yes, it's great for Giants, but it does mean they've got a few more challenging games ahead of them. Gambit have been looked a little bit scarier, who they are facing today. They still also have to play H2K and UOL, who are still above them in the tables. So let's see how Giants are going to handle themselves against some of the stronger teams higher up.
Yeah, as said, their very first test is up right now versus Gambit. So let's take a look at what they're up against exactly. It's Cabochard, Diamond Prox, Betsy, Forgiven, Gosu Pepper, and their coach Sean. So they're on the up and up finally, probably for Gambit fans. They did have that 2-0 last week. Slight improvement across the board for everyone, but the biggest thing was Diamond giving his attention to more than one lane.
I think so too, and I think Diamond has been a player this year especially who has been more hit and miss. He's either had game-winning performances or he's had game-losing performances, itemization, champion choices. These are a lot of things we've been questioning of Diamond, but last week in particular, I liked his focus on some of the other lanes. I like the fact that for the first time on Friday's games, he actually went back to helping out Cabochard, who was playing on Gragas at the time. And I just think it's good to see Diamond when he's playing well, but he needs to find that rhythm more frequently.
Yeah, well, you say Diamond Prox, I say Cabochard. I think his improvement and his progress from week 2 to week 3 was such a massive change. And yes, one game we had the signature Diamond Prox is camping Cabochard, but you see right here as well, his KDA went from less than 1 all the way up to 8.0 KDA, and then his kill participation in addition to that later on also increased. Even though one game, yes, he had Diamond Prox camping for him, but the other game he was playing solo split push, you know, one man driving the map, and he's actually what started the map movements for Gambit, and it made them seem like they actually had more of an idea what they were doing on the map, you know, split push-wise, macro play-wise. So I really hope they can continue that trend coming into this week.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned the macro play, because obviously 2-0 last week doesn't mean that all the problems are fixed. They did take a really long time to beat out Copenhagen Wolves there. Still, in the bigger scheme of things, a lot to work on, but they did get their coach. Sean's now is going to stay with them, is, well, appointed steadily.
It really is, and I think you can actually see the improvement that Sean's has had, especially in the picks and bans phase for Gambit. From week 2 to week 3, there were some very big problems in week 2. They looked a lot better in week 3. I also think from a decision-making, the Thursday to Friday victories, Gambit also looked better with a one-day turnaround. So with Sean's being more settled in, we heard from Forgiven's interview at the end, he was praising Sean's ability in and out of game, and we just need to see a little bit more time. It's week 4 now. They've got some wins, maybe a little bit more confidence as well.
Yeah, Shouns is also a jungle main, so it might help Diamond as well. Like you said, he's doing different stuff. He's not like randomly picking something strange and feeding, so maybe he helped a bit with that.
We will see. In any case, pivotal matchup for both Gambit and Giants in this one. While some may think that Gambit hasn't caught up to their new AD carry yet, their mid laner Betsy thinks it's actually the other way around.
I don't think we're adapting to him, actually. He's adapting to the meta, and like he plays Sivir right now, and he's trying to learn new champions, which is good. You need to give him some farm, because it's like his role. But other than that, I think he's doing fine, and he's adapting to our team instead of us adapting to him.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Devin Pyrotechnics Young, and of course, I'm here with the one and only Dynamic Dane, the man we call Martin DeFicio Linga, as we get ready to load up for Giants and Gambit picks and bans. It's good to have you back, Martin.
Did you say 3 weeks on coming up with a beautiful name for me? I've never heard you call me that before.
It's actually 2.5 weeks.
2.5. That's very true.
I took a couple
I'm
off.
happy to be back, by the way.
Days. It's nice.
Very happy.
It's good to be here with you, of course. So, with this game starting up, you know, they pretty much blew everything out of the water on the analyst desk. I think there's really not much else to say. I'm really excited to see how Giants do perform here, because this is their real test. And it's weird because it's against Gambit, a team that up until last week didn't have a win on the board.
Yeah, it's kind of weird following both teams, honestly, because, yeah, Giants Gaming, coming into this split, we didn't expect too much. Then suddenly they won 4 games against some of the bottom teams, but same goes for Gambit. They beat Copenhagen Wolves and they beat SK Gaming last week, so they've now managed to get a few wins on the board. That's super important. Let's see what we have for the pick and ban phase between the two teams.
Well, starting off, trends continue. Gragas continues to be the #1 picked end ban, picked and/or ban, that is. And Morgana's off the board too, and this is important because Godfred's only gotten a win on that champion.
Yeah, 4-0 on Morgana. Jax could also come in as a Gambit ban against Whirlip. I think he's shown at least a few times now that it's still worth banning it. Coppershot, however, is one of their top laners who also plays Jax and could either potentially take it away from Whirlip or maybe know how to counter it and play around it. I mean, Jax is obviously very weak against the lane swap, so I feel like there are ways to play around it. And if you know he's gonna pick it, well, why not try and bait it into it? So now Maokai being banned, so Jack's still open.
Still is open, and the Maokai, of course, he also had some success on, so they want to try to steal that one up. The Hecarim banned away. It's really only been picked once by Coppershot. They did get a win on it. What do you make of that one, though?
Well, with Hecarim being nerfed here on 5-11, the fact that Home Guard is not that effective on him anymore, or well, not as strong as it used to be. You're not going to have the Home Guard and just one-shot the enemy AD carry, as we used to see. I think still it's a respect ban against Coppershot, and it's because he's been one of these carry top laners. So a lot of focus there. Ryze as well being taken away by Giants. Clearly don't want to first pick it. Kalista is still open. They first picked it for Adri before when it was up there. Otherwise, we typically see Sivir coming in if Kalista is banned away.
Yeah, we haven't really seen too many Sivir bans. Let's see what Gambit decide to answer with their last. It is going to be the Jax, so more respect towards Whirlip.
Okay.
Let's see what Giants first pick.
Look at what Gambit is doing. Gragas was the first ban for Giants. So what normally happens is you ban the Rek'Sai on purple side, otherwise it's going to be the first pick from Giants. But now with Kalista being open as well, with Alistar being open, you have so many very, very strong picks that Giants can only get one, and Gambit should be able to secure 2 of them. I don't really know if Forgiven wants to play Kalista though. Otherwise Giants might get away with this one and get both Rek'Sai and Kalista. That should never really happen in a pick and ban phase.
You're right, and now with the Rek'Sai taken away, that means the jungle tier falls a little bit further down. Frederick actually hasn't played all that much Rek'Sai this split. It's pretty much been picked away from him constantly. So I'll be interested to see it, what they do decide to make of it, or what they do with it exactly. And on Gambit's side, what they answer with, a lot of power picks, as you said, available. But on the other hand, yeah, I don't think Kalista is necessarily what Forgiven might want to be going towards. Remember, Caitlyn did receive a buff this patch. She was a bit of a monster on it when he couldn't get his hands on Lucian or Graves last split.
But also if they want to play the likes of Nidalee, we could expect Corki to come in. I was just about to say it, and then he switches over, because poke compositions have been fairly strong the last few patches.
As Giants well know.
Giants know it, of course. They've been playing some of them. Also, Jace has been buffed on this patch here. He's a very, very strong pick. I don't know if Betsy wants to play it in the mid lane, but if you run a comp with like Nidalee jungle, Corki AD carry, and Jace in the mid lane, your poke is absolutely insane. And then suddenly a Kalista doesn't look that scary to you. It's going to be tough for Ariel to get in there. She does have the ulti though to start a fight, and you always have to respect it. So Giants, they're still going to get a lot of strong picks if they want to in this pick and ban phase. So Gambit definitely taking a chance.
Not only that, they're relying on the prowess of, I think, Diamond Prox here. He had a very beastly later game jungle Nidalee last split when he did the Rod of Ages build and just kind of like let it sort of stack up and be very effective. So it doesn't make it as one-dimensional. And on the side of Giants Gaming, they go ahead and take the Alistar that was left through for the next phase. And Orla was going to be trying his luck on this Rumble this time.
Okay, so lucking in Rumble. I think Giants are looking towards some of all the poke here from Gambit and say we need some sort of way to start the fight and get damage on that back line. So we have the Alistar now who can go for the likes of Righteous Glory. Then he can be the engage you need, and you have the Rumble ulti as well then to try and snipe that back line for Giants, because Rek'Sai obviously is not really a main engage champion. It's more follow-up with the tunnel here. It's a little bit too predictable. But Gambit, let's see if they stick to this poke composition they've already been building with the first 2 picks. I'm still expecting Kalista to come in for Adri on Giant side. Kalista, Alistar, great lane. Throw that Alistar in there. You have 2 ways now suddenly he can engage on. And that can be very, very hard for Gambit to deal with.
Yeah, it's a wombo combo in the making. We'll see if Gambit do, as you said, stick to their poke and see if they can overcome that potentially, or if they plan for it. Looks like, wow, okay. So we got a Bard lock in for Gosu Pepper. And then there's that Fizz. We've been seeing him quite a lot up in the top lane.
Yeah, definitely expecting that one to go to Coppershot. And that's what we see from time to time when people build these poke comps. You don't want all 5 members together. Instead, you need someone who can apply pressure on the map in the opposite lane of where your 4 guys are grouping and poking. That's going to be the Fizz here from Capuchat. He also doesn't run Smite normally. As we can see, he's already sitting on the Ignite for himself. So he's going to have more focus on the early pressure in the lane, rush that Trinity Force and be as powerful as possible in the one-on-one. Try and see if they can get a few kills on the Rumble. Giants, however, they have the option to lane swap on it, which is one of the downsides when you play this Assassin or Fizz, the Bruiser Assassin, I guess we can call him, in the top lane. Rumble, of course, needs a lot less gold to be efficient compared to Capuchat in this one.
Right, but doesn't this make Gambit a little bit, I want to say one-dimensional, just because they don't have really a tank. The Fizz, the Cinderhulk Fizz that we've been seeing is a little bit tankier. It can sustain a little bit, but this is Bruiser. This is completely different. And I feel like if Giants, well, they lock this one in. They've got the Diana, they've got the Callista. That is a lot of potential all in and dive.
Again, it's Gambit showing what they're building very, very early in the first 2 picks, and Giants saying, okay, we need enough ways of engaging onto you. Diana as well. Dive into that backline, Rumble ulti, throw in an Alistar from the Callista, tunnel in from a Rek'Sai. There are multiple ways for Giants now, either to flank around on Gambit or just try and engage head-on with so much mobility they have on that team here. Callista is also one of these AD carries who can handle herself. She can stay alone, you know, in the backline. She doesn't need a lot of help, just kiting back. And we might see a lot of fights between Archery and Capuchat in the big team fights. Let's see what Gambit decides to pick in the end. We have to remember Fizz is a flex pick. Betsy can play it in the mid lane.
Very true.
Otherwise, the likes of an Azir could be an option. We have seen Lulu before as well in these kite compositions. When you have Bard and Lulu, that is so much kite coming in. I mean, Bard Q, stunning 2 targets, even his ulti can be used in that case. You can tunnel out or magical journey out and the team can follow. And if Giant's trying to follow you, you just land the stun on the way out here, hit 2 people, and suddenly all the poke is going to connect. I really want to see how Gambit will play around this mid game where Corki becomes very strong, where Lula has 1 item completed and they have pretty good poke damage. And of course, if Diamond is going to go for his Rod of Ages in Italy, they're becoming a bit more of a bruiser, but still, of course, going for a lot of AP.
Give him a bit more scaling, too. So I really do like that we have these very clearly defined compositions for these teams.
Oh, yeah.
We're pretty
very different.
Pretty early.
Very different.
In this situation, just given what we know about the teams and how they've been performing and the level they're coming up to, who is this riskier for? Giants or Gambit?
So running a poke composition is always extremely risky in the case that you tend to lack something to make your comp all around. In this case here, you have like no engage. Your engage is going to be Bard landing his ulti and then like Fizz teleporting in. Like that's how you're going to start a fight basically. That's not really enough for Gambit. So they rely on being able to group up, land this poke in, not fall behind, so we can get engages coming from Giants left and right and they just fall flat on their face from Gambit's side.
Yeah, we'll see if that's what happens or if maybe it's the other way around. In the meantime, why don't you guys tell us what you think? Tweet at LL Esports. The hashtags are GIA win or GMB win. We'll have to see if Gambit's going to see another mid-split win streak. They're already off to 2. Let's see if they can get a 3rd here as they load up against Giants Gaming. We're on to the Rift.
I'm really excited to see the 2 different comps here and how they play out. We have seen a lot of Corki from Forgiven. It's the only AD carry he's managed to win on here in
and he tried a lot.
In the summers, but he's tried a lot of different ones. There's a lot of talk last split about Forgiven and, you know, the lack of champion pool. It was Graves and Lucian every single game. Now Graves have been nerfed quite a lot. Cinderhulk as well didn't really favor him. So Forgiven has been trying different ones. And now Gambit, as we said, poke focused, a lot of kite coming in, split pushing from Capuchat on his own. And I really want to see what Eddie can do in this Bard as well. It's always fantastic to see that champion. I know Crepo shares the same opinion, and I've tried to listen whenever Crepo was talking about Bard. That guy knows like everything about the champion.
Whenever Crepo starts talking about Bard, I just kind of like, I try to listen and then I just hear the sound of chimes. So, speaking of, we'll see how this one starts off. Right now it's a line of scrimmage. Nothing super unusual, but a lot of warding, just trying to feel out where everybody is. I don't really feel like there's going to be a lane swap or an attempt to win this game. We've seen a lot, though, in the last few weeks.
It's only if Giants wanted to try and shut down Capuchat a little bit. They've seen now he's not running Smite, obviously, so he's going to be weaker in a 1v2 situation. But for now, it looks like we just get the standard lanes instead. Callista, Alistar. I want to see what Adri and Godfrey can do on it. Another support for Godfrey now. There's not Morgana. Has been banned away, of course. And the only one, as you said, in Champs like he's managed to win on. But really, this pick and ban phase for Gambit, they gave away so many power picks to Giants. 4 out of 5 picks from Giants here. Some of the most contested one. Or was it 3 out of 5 with Kalista, Alistar, and the Rek'Sai. Even, I guess, the Rumble is up there.
Not to mention, you know, it's really difficult if you want to play these comfortable choices to not give that up. But that shows that either Gambit are very, very confident in their comfortability, or they're just not respecting Giants here. And again, Giants, they've not won against top-tier teams. This is a test for them.
Well, I don't think it's about disrespecting Giants. I think it's Gambit saying, we really like poke in this current meta here. We really feel like we can play these compositions out. Betsy has shown many times that he's very comfortable on the likes of Lulu. So I think it's more Gambit saying, we have a clear plan, and we don't mind giving up some power picks. Godfred.
Talk about a clear plan.
So Eddie managed to get a lot of XP from that Grump they took here. Forgiven still didn't hit level 2. I didn't manage to see how they did it or how they messed it up almost.
Neither of Audrey or Godfred right now. Now the Forgiven's hit 2. They're zoning them away from this farm. It's going to be really, really hard for Audrey if this keeps up for a while. We'll check in on that as it develops. Pepinero is taking a bit of damage. A lot of harass from the Glitter Lance and the health picks of Betsy. So right now, Gambit's lanes are doing quite solid. Cabochard pushing it on the top.
Yeah.
This should open up avenues for Frederick to roam around, but he's a little bit more preoccupied right now in his first jungle clear.
Jumping over. We have seen him go back to the style of let's camp a little bit for Cabochard. Let him play some carry top laners. And we know it's going to be super effective. He's going to find Frederick here, who's taking a very slow route. He's cleared almost his entire jungle. And now he's have to fight Diamond and the blue buff.
This is not going to be good for Frederick. He's got his red ticking away, but Diamond should be able to slow him down a little bit. Lets the blue reset. And Frederick, the rest of Giants, they are not off to a great start. Let's see if Diamond jumps in. Nope. Spear's not going to connect. The Sand Shark will manage to get away for now. Let's see if Diamond procs continues that harass up. I'm really interested to see not just his build path, but how it develops as it goes. For now, all the lanes pretty much pushed in except for the middle. You see Frederick hovering around there too. Diamond, though, still in the area if they need a counter gank.
Yeah, very much. Let's see. Frederick coming down. So they're level 1 or level 2 here for Gosu Purple. Obviously, he got a few chimes, so he got a bit extra XP. That's why he got it first. But Forgiven, he's in trouble.
Oh, he is burning away, and Frederick will come in and snipe him with the Praise Seeker. Now they're going in onto Gosu Pepper. He won't last long. Goodbye. And Audrey will pick up another. Giants now off to 2 kills to none.
Oh, and that was after Gambit getting a good start down the bottom lane. I just talked about how Gosu Pepper got a bit of early XP from roaming around the map, picking up the chimes there. Then he shared the Grump with Forgiven. He went aggressive. That had a good start, but now caught out very far up the lane. Great gank coming in from Frederick as well. Just looking at the situation saying, well, you haven't been out to ward for a while, so it's probably clear for me to just walk straight in. And you pushed all the way up. 2 kills. And he got every single summoner as well on that gank.
Yeah, and this is the problem with being as extended as they were. They didn't respect the fact that Frederick could come in there and pick them up. They didn't respect the damage that Audrey and Godfred could put out. And as a result, that fantastic start for Gambit's bot lane has turned completely against them.
And this is a problem for Gambit. We talked about one of the risks here if you run these poke kite compositions. If you start falling behind and you're simply not weak enough to take team fights, then whenever you start grouping and poking, there's a lot of chances for Giants to just force a team fight on you and win it because they're simply that much stronger in this case here. Gambit has to rely on the fact that they can land enough poke and they can force Giants to hesitate when it comes to starting fights to then get the advantage. It's not even about killing people for Gambit, it's about poking them back to base so you can take towers, you can take objectives, and that's how you start snowballing your lead. But they're gonna wait till the mid game here. You want that Trinity Force on Forgiven, you want one item on Betsy as well. Cabochard now. He's gonna jump on Wally. Both junglers are near the top lane.
Yeah, so we'll see how this Cinderhulk less fizz develops, but Frederick's up there. It means he's gonna have to take the expressway back to base and grab himself a little bit of respite. What do you think of Cabochard going on this? It is kind of a him champion, but I'm really surprised at the lack of Cinderhulk.
Well, here in Europe, we never really got to see too many top laners really favor Smite. Like let's say when it comes to Hecarim, a lot of guys were running Ignite as well because they want more early pressure, they want more lane power. Diamond Prox here, he might be in trouble.
Yeah, there's the equalizer going down, but Diamond Prox doesn't take too much damage. Meanwhile, back to the bottom side, Gosu Pepper is the one that Godfred and Audrey decide to target as Godfred picks him up. Audrey sitting in the bush trying to kite away from Forgiven. He's very low and he avoids a phosphorus bomb. A 1-for-none pickup. Giants continue to roll forward. Gold's still pretty even though.
It is so hard to play against a lane like Kalista, Alistar if you start falling behind. They can just constantly force fights and trades on you. the Kalista will outtrade the Corki in this case. The Alistar is tanky enough to just jump in on Ghost to Pepper every single time, and Giants is really taking full advantage of that start. Forgiven though, he's sticking to his true style of always farming like a madman, and he's still 10 CS up, but Adri's gotten the kill and 2 assists.
Yeah, so it's really starting to trend towards Giants right now. Gambit are still trying to make these moves.
Well,
Prox is moving around, but they're not really getting anything for it.
Giants have the kills, but if you look at the farm, I mean, look at the top lane here. Cabochard is destroying that lane for himself. The Lulu in the mid lane are also beating out the Diana here. So Gambit, despite giving up a lot of kills, it's very close in goal. And Cabochard is going to be such a key member because he's the only guy who's going to apply split pushing threat from Gambit here. And nobody's going to be able to stop him from Giants, especially not if he continues becoming this strong here. I mean, he's completely free farming, denying a lot of farm as well from Whirlip. So Giants have to worry about that lane.
Yeah, well, he's got minions at his back. He sends out Chum the Waters. Whirlip is actually going to have to flash this. So Cabochard, as long as there's no help from Frederick, Whirlip is in a world of hurt. You know, it's worth noting too, this is the first time he's played Rumble this split. He's really looked a lot more comfortable on, obviously, the Maokai, the Jax. That was banned away, and you can see with good reason for Gambit.
Yeah, Jax is one of these picks where we think, oh, okay, you don't have to ban the Jax, you know. I mean, he's been playing all the champions. Maybe he won't pick it. Teams left it open. He took it twice in a row, and he just performed really, really well. So it's back to being banned. Too bad for you, Whirlip, on that one. Diamond trying to see if he can go for a dive. This is what you often see in the top lane. If these lanes here start putting a lot of pressure on them, the junglers can then move in behind him, but in mid lane as well.
Speaking of junglers, Betsy finds a Sand Shark in his lane. He has to use his ultimate just to try and stay alive. Peppy has to back, doesn't have any more gas left in the tank. Whirlip will get a brief break as Diamond went down to deal with that Rek'Sai from Frederick, and he'll get some free farm as, of course, Cabochard backs the base.
Yeah, Cabochard a little bit too low to really do anything there. Didn't want to risk pushing it in. He had Diamond, of course. Could also just be him sitting ready in case Frederick showed himself towards the top lane. He was sitting there in Tribush. Quick trade he could have taken, but Frederick decided to gank the mid lane instead. Bottom lane, Forgiven, still ahead in CS, but giving up kills, him and Gozu Pepper together. And it's really been a bit of a problem for them. Both him and Cabochard obviously aiming for that first Trinity Force before Gambit really turns on the power.
Well, despite the fact that you know, one of the kills was Frederick picking it up, he sniped it away. Yeah, it really has been. This 2v2 has just not gone Gambit's way so far. They're waiting on their power spikes. They're waiting to become more relevant so that they can contribute to this, what will Gambit hope to be a never-ending poke war that they come out on top of. But Giants, they really want to get the ball rolling on this. Gold, as you mentioned though, still very, very even. That farm advantage up in the top contributing a lot. The farm advantage in the mid is also starting to widen. It's pretty much even everywhere else, but that's mostly for the fact that Forgiven and Ghost Pepper have had a rough time.
Yeah, so as long as they just play safe now, like, don't risk giving up more kills. Then Gambit are still looking great by the fact they're winning these 2 solo lanes, especially the top lane is so, so important. Keep mentioning how Cabochard is going to be a key member in this game here. He's already on his way towards the Trinity Force. This is what we talk about when you don't run the smite, which we see some top laners simply decide not to do here in Europe, to be stronger in the early game, to be stronger in the laning phase, and it's paying off for him. Diamond, he's looking for Pepinero.
It's paying off for Diamond right now as he keeps leaping on in. Peppy is under tower range, dodges away from the spear, but now he's back to the mid to help Betsy polish off this tower. And this is Diamond Prox. He's really let the top, other than a few times he's hovered around there to its own devices, and I feel like this is one of the things that's helping this team grow over the last couple weeks.
And I really just like the focus from Diamond saying, I don't need to go bottom lane. Yes, they died a few times, but they can just farm now. I'm just going to leave them. Instead, I'm going to play around our strongest members at the moment, the Lulu and the Fizz in the top lane. I'm going to play around the solo lane as Frederick. He's jumping right into them.
Yeah, that was not necessarily the best Void Rush as he's about to find out. Really low, burning away. In comes Peppy, and he dashes in. Lunar Rush. There is going to be the wild growth, and Pepinero will back off, an ultimate burned. The ultimate of the Rek'Sai.
Not the smartest ulti from Frederick.
No, but Peppy was there to save his bacon.
He managed to stay alive. Got a flash from Diamond as well. But this mid tower went down. Just beautiful play around the pressure from Betsy. Pushing it down. Also, you can see the wards in the jungle of Giants. That's what happens when you lose this mid lane. Suddenly, you can invade in. Whirlip, he's in trouble.
Yeah, Equalizer is down.
Or is Cabochard in trouble?
Very, very low, but Whirlip realizes he can't take this fight. He's overheating. He's got the shield on. Diamond, though, has him in his sights. Will he be able to finish him? Yep. He just directs him into the jaws of Cabochard or a kill.
And once again, Gambit know they can play aggressive into solo laners because Diamond is always going to be around. They have deep wards into the jungle of Giants because they just managed to take that mid lane tower, so they opened up multiple ways to get into Giants jungle. And they're playing this pressure early on super, super well. And really also using the early power of this Nidalee pick. And we can see Diamond going towards the Rod of Ages like he normally does as well. It's going to make him also a bit stronger in the small duels we're going to have in this game here.
Yeah, it also gives him a little bit more late game power as well. Stay alive a little bit more, have a little extra mana and AP, all that good stuff. See how this goes in the mid lane though. Without a tower, Pepinero is going to have to probably be calling on Frederick's help a little bit more. Right now, despite the kill lead, as you mentioned, Gambit Gaming's farm has really been off the charts and they have amassed themselves about 1,500 ahead at 12.5 minutes.
We can really see how Frederick, he's looking to gank some of these solo laners here, but he never feels like he has a good chance to do it because every single time there's zero vision on where Gambit is on the map, like where Diamond is. So if you just go in as this Rek'Sai here, you risk getting counter ganked by the Nidalee. So you can see the pink wards from Gambit plays very defensively as well, basically blocking all the vision for Frederick. So he never knows when it's safe to go for a gank. So he never knows when he can help his laners. So he's forced to play more passive, and that hurts everyone on Giants. The only winning lane has been that bot lane, just from the kills. Now they're starting a dragon.
It's risky though. They're going to start going for this one. Let's see if Gambit can react in time. Forgiven will send out a big rocket just to see this going down, and there's no response, nobody in time. First dragon goes over to Giants Gaming. Now maybe they'll have a little bit more confidence with that AP boost. They've got Chum the Waters going a little bit wide on Werlib as Cabochard and Betsy look to chase him down. Back to tower, slowed up, has to flash, picks is on him, wild growth, in comes Cabo, and they will be able to urchin strike him down. 2-0 on the Fish.
So like the Dragon Call before here from Giants, they had the winning bottom lane that pushed it up as well to the tower so they could instantly rush it, and you have that Kalista build up the Ren stacks. Of course you can secure the Dragon. That was despite not even having teleport. But then Werlib just had to back away. As soon as Betsy left the mid lane, there's only one place he can go, and that's to the top lane. Because obviously he's not going to run down alone to that Dragon. You have full vision of the river. Werlib should just back away beforehand. He gave up another kill now. Trinity Force completed for Cabochard. 14 minutes in. Nobody's going to be able to stop him in the split push.
So if you're Giants Gaming right now, what do you have to do to try and wrestle control this game back in? The Dragon seems like a good step one, but what's next?
Well, I want to play around my strongest member, and that's going to be the Kalista at this point here. BF Sword completed for him. You have an Alistar who's so good at diving towers. So for Frederick here, he honestly has to just say, I can't really help top lane. I can't really help the mid lane either. Gambit is controlling that side of the map. I need to go bottom lane then, have them push it into the tower, use the Alistar to dive that and get more kills on Forgiven and Eddie. Take that bot lane tower as well and get some gold for your team. Trying to constantly help a losing lane often just ends in you doing nothing because you are so afraid of jumping in and just giving up 1 or 2 more kills because you get counter ganked by a stronger 2v2 lane, which is the Nidalee Fizz in this case here for Cabochard and Diamond.
Right. Let's see if they learn the lesson in time as Frederick has taken the Void Rush up. Trying to stop Betsy. They're in the jungle of Giants Gaming. Frederick and Werlib a little bit afraid to move up here. This tower is going to get free pushed on. Maybe not exactly free as Cabochard finds a Prey Seeker in his face. Still a wave incoming. Werlib. You can tell he's feeling a little bit nervous though and just requesting that backup. Werlib hanging around there. Meanwhile, down to the bottom now, looks like we're back to the 2v2.
Yeah, but notice how every time Frederick shows himself top lane, it buys more time, or it buys time for Forgiven and Ghost of Pepper to just sit and farm and push out the wave, and don't really be too afraid of a gank coming in. So despite losing all the summoners, despite dying, they have been okay, and Frederick has basically left them alone for the last 5-6 minutes, and not really been able to accomplish a whole lot. The Dragon, though, was a good play from Giants. They're still, though, falling very far behind in gold, only 16 minutes in.
Yeah, and I think it's actually been really, really effective that Gambit, especially Diamond Procs, have done so much to try and worry Frederick and try to take away, counter jungle him, and keep him on the back foot. And I feel like that's maybe prompting him to go and Void Rush up top all the time. Yes, there's Gambit members in the area that he wants to chase off, but they're also taking away as much as they possibly can. They're warding it constantly. They're trying to make sure that he's not comfortable or not welcome in that side of the jungle. And right now, as you mentioned, he hasn't really been able to do much in the bottom.
No.
He's left it alone.
Yeah, no. It also bought a lot of time for Eddie to start warding off the bottom lane. We can see Giants, they keep being able to push in this wave here because they are so strong 2v2 together. Need to be a little bit careful here from Adri, just taking a lot of poke from Forgiven. But look what they can do with the wave. Always pressured into tower. Now Frederick is down here, setting up for a potential dive. Nobody's close from Gambit, but Cabochard does have teleport ready. That's going to be the saving grace in case a dive should happen here from Giants.
Waiting to see if that does occur. Frederick not quite going around the side. Audrey's checking very far forward once again. He did heal up a lot of the damage.
There we go.
In comes Godfred, knocks back, goes to Pepper. Instantly, Frederick comes in, but the Tempered Fate falls down. Audrey is going to get chunked pretty low. Goes to Pepper, the heal up, Forgiven, able to make it happen. No
There's a teleport, guys.
He's got the auto attacks, teleport coming in, Whirlib, and there is another one from Cabochard. Fish coming on to Audrey, but still, no one's down just yet. Very close calls. Betsy moving around the side, and he picks him up. Audrey's gone down, and now the Wild Growth on Betsy as the equalizer is thrown down. Goes to Pepper, gets the kill credit. Cabochard gets another, and just like that, 3-for-0 Gambit.
And that was such a great ulti from Gosu Pepper here. He delayed everything. He even hit himself, so he was there. They couldn't kill him under the tower. He bought time for Cabochard then to teleport and for the rest of Gambit to come down and help it. They turned it around. Giants, they suddenly realized what they could do, where they might be able to get a few kills, but it's just too late for them and almost too predictable at this point. And Gambit then punished him. 2 towers, more kills. Pepinero, let's see if he can do anything to clean up. He's all alone. He's going on Diamond now.
Yeah, Diamond could be in some trouble. He's going to go over the wall, trying to heal up Peppy.
That works.
Slices him down. Frederick comes in as well. Dragon's a minute away. This game has gotten bloody fast, Officio. We're not 20 minutes in. 4 to 5 is the only kill so far, but a lot of them occurred in just the last couple of minutes. Now Peppy and Frederick look to add to that tally. Frederick, though, he's stunned under tower a little bit too early, but Pepinero tags in, forcing the Wild Growth from Betsy, and he's got to back away.
Pepinero is looking for some blood here. He knows he needs to start getting rolling. They need someone from Giants who can be the carry. Your top lane has been shut down completely. Your AD carry, while he got the kills early, that's been about it. Let's see it again here. So Giants, they know we can use the Alistar to dive, so we're going straight for Ghost of Paper. Right now, they want to try and kill him as fast as possible, but that ulti from Eddie buys so much time for the rest of Gambit. You can look at your minimap. Betsy's roaming down, TP from Cabochard as well, and suddenly we have the rest of Gambit killing him, and Whirlib, he might die again.
Speaking of suddenly, Whirlib's gone down as Cabochard was behind enemy lines. Another solo kill for him. Whirlib is just not having a great game on this Rumble. Meanwhile, though, Giants will take the incentive to go ahead and start off Drake number 2.
Gambit clearly doesn't care about these dragons here.
No. They took a tower in mid-second here.
And I honestly understand 100% why Gambit is not risking taking any fights, because, as we mentioned, Adrian and Godfred were super strong from the early kills, so no reason to fight on the bottom lane when you have a 4-0 top laner who can just keep getting kills on the enemy Rumble, and you just play around that top side. Diamond, Betsy, and Cabochard, those 3 guys are the carries for Gambit in this game here.
Exactly, and to top it off, you know, this is the comp that they built. They said, let's not fight. Let's poke where we can. Let's try to make plays in lane. Let's try to build ourselves up a lead that the Giants cannot come back from. And look at it right now. 20 minutes in, their gold lead is pretty massive. Even if they're down 2 dragons, 5 towers to 1.
Yeah, it was like for Gambit, they didn't even have to make any plays in the early game. They could have waited for that Trinity Force to come in here, wait for a mid-game spike, then you can start grouping with Lulu, Corki, and Nidalee and like land that poke here. But because they've been able to outplay Giants on this side of the map here, where we see Diamond dance around once again, it just snowballed the whole game completely. I mean, Cabochard is so far ahead in items compared to what you normally would see him be, that you can just continue to play around him because he's not exactly going to fall off. He scales really well into the late game as well in terms of his one-on-one potential.
Well, I asked you about the Bruiser Fizz and, you know, why it's not Cinder Hulk, and clearly that's the answer right there, because Cabochard can just do this over and over and over. So,
but we have to remember, Giants had the option to lane swap on the Fizz once they saw there was no smite. To say, we don't want to risk a one-on-one lane. Also, with the Nidalee being there so strong in the early game, we don't think we can take that 2-on-2 fight. So we try and shut him down that way, deny him some farm early on. They took standard lane. Obviously paid off for Adrian and Godfred. Surely didn't pay off for Whirlib in the top lane.
Speaking of swaps, though, you know, we're going to see Cabochard go down here now, while everyone else from Giants is more interested in the top side. Frederick's backed away. Pepinero had already come on down to defend this one, but it seems too little too late for Giants to try and do anything on this top side. Meanwhile, Pepinero is caught up. He's going to dash in onto Betsy. Wild growth. You're not going anywhere. But back to Fountain. Cabochard with his 5th kill of the game. I guess Freak was right. That Trinity Force does do tons of damage.
It does indeed do tons of damage here. And whenever you split up your team, you're just waiting for that one kill. So suddenly, Giants has to send down members to defend the lane where you just lost someone, and it opens up something else on the map. In this case, the Baron is open for Gambit. They have so many wards around it. They're going to spot Giants coming there. Just dying 3 members because look at the bottom lane. 2 guys from Giants trying to defend, and Pepinero is dead for another 10 seconds.
Cabochard's just too much of a threat. Giants can't push out on the map at all. They have really not been able to get rolling as a result of how well this Fizz has. So 3 members of Gambit on the Baron, uncontested. They managed to pick it up at 22 minutes into this game, and the lead extends 10,000 gold ahead to Fischio.
And Giants is a team, if we look at how they've been playing in the last few weeks here, where they of course picked up 4 wins, so they had a great start to the LCS. It's often been built around a strong early game. Frederick has been very active on his jungle champions, mainly the Evelyn. They get a few early kills, and they use that to really snowball either Pepinero or Whirlip into more leads. This game here, and also the game against Fnatic where they had the role swap, they got completely shut down in the early game. And now we're seeing Giants then struggle to adapt and say, okay, we're losing this one lane here. What can we do instead? Like, do we just keep walking up there trying to gang it, or how do we adapt? How do we try and get back in this game? They had very few answers to what Gambit were doing, and it was too late. Once they decided, okay, maybe we can get something on the bottom lane. And then Gambit expected it, had everything ready for it, and it just ended up even worse for Giants.
Yeah, they just have really not been able to get anything done as a result, and I really want to put a lot of it on, I keep going back to this, onto Frederick just not being able to do much in the early game. It's cost Giants so much this time. Cabochard jumps onto Pepinero, teleport coming in, but he might be dead before he gets there. Playful and Trickster, down goes Peppy. Could Cabochard 1v2? Urchin strike in, and Whirlip is in some trouble, but so is Cabo. Into the brush, shut down by Whirlip.
Toasted in the very end here. Whirlip managed to get a kill, but look once again, you send down more members than you have to, or well, you're basically forced to send down more members than you would normally to defend one lane, and suddenly the cross-map objective is open. Gambit gets 1 tower, pushing on to the next one, and this is where their poke comes in. We talked about this 4-1 setup they have. So many members who can hit the towers, so much poke. Adri, he's going down.
Oh, goodbye. Betsy will be able to pick him up now. Still with the Baron, empowerment. Betsy tanking Whirlip, he's going to have to flash away. Spears and everything are flying their direction. Giants scrambling to defend these inhibitors, going all in. They don't need to worry about the poke game anymore. Godfred, he can only headbutt 1. Pepinero is going to get exhausted, but he managed to take out Betsy all the same with that. Gambit decide not to push their luck. They're going to back away, courtesy of a magical journey over the wall.
And I just realized, Diamond has been around nearly every single kill, but he's not got to kill himself on assist.
He's not hitting those spears, man.
He's just been putting pressure, being there for potential counter ganks, or forcing other people off the towers, and then he's been killing the towers instead and taking away the jungle camps. He's not been able to get anything for himself. If you have him in fantasy, I'm sorry, but he's not going to give a whole lot of points.
Well, here in reality, he's doing quite well for Gambit, even if the score doesn't indicate. That's very true. 30 seconds on this next dragon. Gambit could easily pick this one up. Giants, however, are pushing out of their base. The problem is they have a glaring weak side now in the top, which Pepinero's looking to remedy, but he's going to be a little locked up dealing with that for a while. And Gambit uses this opportunity to go back and stock up, ready themselves for the next fight.
We talked about how they pick and ban phase for Gambit. It looked very risky what they were doing, giving away so many power picks to Giants here. Was so tunnel on. We need to have this kite siege comp or poke comp here with the split pushing from Cabochard. But they've just been playing the early game so well. They've been using Diamond so well as well to decide, you know, where do we put the pressure here? Which lanes do we need to make sure wins? And they basically said from the start of the game, okay, who's our most important member in the early game? That's going to be Cabochard right now. We need him to win the lane. Let's put a lot of resources into him. Betsy roamed up there. Diamond was nearby. And that allowed Cabochard as well to really get a good start.
Yeah, the start just kind of kept on going in this game. It's hard to talk about it being late because we're only 26.5 minutes in, but Gambit are already knocking on another inhibitor, or inhibitor turret should be. Peppy's going to go back, see if he can get back in time to defend this one. All of Gambit Gaming are down on the bottom side. Equalizer will be able to clear the wave away, but the tower is half its health gone. Still a very tense situation for these Giants as they're hemmed into their base, awaiting the Gambit push.
Forgiven is moving, getting the shield from Betsy. You still have all that fantastic poke, and in case an engage should happen, Giants have no way of really getting a flank. It's just try to throw in the Alistar if you see someone like Forgiven hitting the tower, and that's basically what you can do. Goes to Pepper. We haven't seen too much from him because he hasn't really needed to do anything, but whenever he was needed, the tower dive in the bottom lane beforehand, he had a very, very good ulti to buy time.
Yeah, gets those cooldowns back up and ready, gets everyone a minute to assess. Look at those healing shrines too around. A lot of sustain available. Prox throws the spirits, dodged by Peppy. Meanwhile, Gambit go right back to the poke game, chipping away at this tower. And for Giants, I mean, what can they really do? The game has just gone so far out of their control, and they can't jump on Gambit anymore without suffering some serious repercussions, Deficio.
Well, yeah, you're at the point where you just gotta try and all-in engage, honestly. Pick up Godfred, throw him into the face of Forgiven or Betsy, and just try and see if you can one-shot a target from Gambit, instantly make it a 5 versus 4, and then try and clean up a few kills. Like, it's all you can do. You cannot just sit back and just wait. Your tower is gonna die, so Giants, they have to go soon. There we go.
Soon Godfred, he's coming on in. They find Gosu Pepper. Down goes the Tempered Fate. Gives a second to reset. Gosu's gonna heal up. There goes the equalizer. In goes Pepinero. They don't have the damage in there. Is the cow thrown in? Diamond Prox chunked out, taken down by Audrey, but Giants are gonna pay dearly as Kabashard picks up Godfred. Gosu Pepper around the side. The rest of Giants, however, they're melting right now. Frederick, Werlip, Godfred all gone. Audrey might follow too. Kabashard, he's got the spear sticking in him, but they don't hurt that bad. And Audrey's got it back the old-fashioned way. He may not have a base to go to, though.
Oh, Gambit just gonna look to end the game here. They got super minions already, 4 guys still alive. Giants, they had to try it. They just had to go for an all-in. It didn't work for them.
Too little, too late, it seems. Teleport comes in from Kabashard after he backed the base. Nice little cheeky maneuver. He wants to pad those stats. Audrey dashes away, but not in time for Forgiven to take him down. And now the Nexus will fall as well. Sub 30 minutes as Giants continue to try and keep it alive, but no longer. Gambit Gaming pick up another.
Eddie not happy. He had to die in the end there. Or goes to Pepper. I'm so used to calling him Eddie from back in the day here, but Gambit really had a clear plan in the pick and ban phase. They knew the Giants would take all these strong picks because why not? I mean, if you see Rek'Sai, Kalista, Alistar, you want to get them because these picks are so powerful in the current meta, but Gambit had a clear plan. 1-4 setup, a lot of poke, a lot of kite, knew exactly what kind of champions they wanted for it, and they knew who is the important guys. Who do we need to make sure get ahead in the early game to be able to snowball this game? It was mainly Kabashard in that top lane. Giants didn't realize it. There was no early help from Werlip in the start before it was really too late. There was no lane swap on Kabashard despite not running with the smite. So the whole strategy just paid off despite giving 2 early kills down the bottom lane. If you just remove that part, it was almost a perfect game then for Gambit.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like Gambit's been in need of something at least close to a perfect game. They're still coming off I would almost say a very ugly win when they played off against the Wolves the other week, and you know they've started to look a little bit better. It's been improving for them now that Sean's is a full part of the team.
Yeah.
You can see they're getting a little crisper in their play. Diamond, they trusted him to play this in Italy. No, he didn't get a lot of kills, but they did exactly what
he got 3 assists.
And also, Kabashard absolutely went off the hook this game, and that's what allowed them to pull off that 4-1.
Just like last week.
Very cut and dry.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was an OP5 in the last week here. Betsy said it in the feature before this game here. They're talking about Forgiven, how Gambit were not adapting to Forgiven. He was adapting to them as a team. This game here shows it, because it was not about Forgiven in any way. They didn't gank for Forgiven. They didn't try and get kills on Forgiven. No, they went back to what worked for them in the spring split. That is a lot of pressure on the top side of the map where Kabashard is sitting. Make him your big carry on these massive bruises that can really snowball out of control, and Forgiven can then play the standard farm-focused AD carry. Don't have to do anything in the laning phase other than just stay alive, basically. And that was the whole strategy for Gambit here, and they did it also last week. So they've clearly gone back to what worked a split ago, and now picked up 3 wins in a row.
Yeah, so with all of that, and you know, Forgiven, he improves from 0 Forgiven to 3 Forgiven. So with that all done, we're going to go ahead and send it over to the analyst desk. We'll break down that game. Now, Gambit pulled out a big victory.
Thank you so much. Deficio, he's got a lot to say. Glad to have him back. We have a lot to say as well. Let's start at the, well, picks and bans, because honestly, in the beginning, it did seem like Gambit was giving up a little bit too many power picks.
Yeah, I really think that the comp of Gambit was really trash, and Giants comp was super good, but they just like picked for lanes, and Diamond was just camping the top jungle warding or whatever, and then it was just a Cabochard show.
I feel like Giants' composition was good up until the last pick. I think, as Deficio said in the game, Gambit was Giants were telegraphing what they were doing. Gambit was telegraphing what they were doing, but then the last pick, the Diana for the Giants, I really feel it should have just been a champion that could wave clear, go even in the mid lane, allow Giants to play around their strong side, and then eventually, even if the Rumble Fizz matchup is losing, just teleport them down and try to dive the bot side. I feel Giants really dropped the ball on that, because we saw early in the game, Betsy was constantly pushing in Pepinero. He was getting a little agitated, eventually lost his tower, and we saw in the player cams as well, he was getting upset. Whirlip, he was playing aggressive and constantly dying while his bot lane was actually winning. So I really feel it was too much of the same. Too much of this dive skirmish type of thing when they could have just picked a wave clear mid, relied on the fact that Kalista will always beat Corki in lane in this matchup if you put some jungle pressure there. And the opposite happened for Gambit. They were behind in bot lane, but they didn't care. They just played passive, you know, stay even, and the other side of the map was winning because Betsy was pushing in mid lane, Cabochard was destroying top lane, and in between that, just like Sai and I just said, Diamondprox was just warding and just putting control in top side of the map.
Yeah, let's break it down phase by phase when it's coming to this game. You started by mentioning the bottom lane. Of course, we had there Alistar, Kalista versus the Corki and the Bard, who you love so much, but it didn't go well for the Gambit at, well, from the start in there.
Yeah, and that manifested eventually in a first blood, and that's our first replay. We can already get that on your screen and talk a bit about that. Just this matchup, if Bard and Corki kind of want to push and poke, but they're at risk of always getting flashed on by the Alistar eventually and getting aggressed on, especially if Rek'Sai is like joining you from your backside and you can't ward everything. So Forgiving gets flashed on, and at this point it's over right now. Even if he flashes out, Rek'Sai will come in and clean up. And that's kind of the problem for Gambit. They didn't do a camp, or they got help on the camp, but they were pushing in, sets up for a very easy gank, and they didn't play passive enough on their weak side. This is a mistake by Gambit, but they learned from it. Forgiven never died again in this laning phase. He played passive. He said, okay, my job in this game is to go even. I let Cabochard carry, I let Betsy put some pressure, they two-man invade, force Pepinero out of the game, and it snowballed.
Yeah, and Diamond as well, just like probably 30 seconds before that, he saw Rek'Sai on the blue, he stopped him from doing the blue, putting pressure. Like, that's a really good move, because then you see where the jungler is. He even warded the blue, so it's pretty obvious Rek'Sai is going to go like bot side, and they still died.
So yeah, that was a tiny mistake from Gambit, but they adapted. I feel like Giants were constantly making the same mistake over and over again.
Yeah, one of those mistakes that got made over and over again was in the top lane. Didn't opt to go for the lane swap. They had to rumble. First time there's this split going on there for Whirlip versus Fizz. And on average, Whirlip is up 15 CS by 10 minutes. He has not been behind in CS at 10 minutes in this split, but he was down 30 at 10 minutes versus Cabochard's Fizz, who, as said, got a little bit of help, or a lot, by both his mid laner and his jungle. But it seems like, why do you keep giving that up and allowing that game to snowball out of control for the enemy top laner?
I just think Giants lost track of the plan, and Gambit stuck to their plan. I mean, we're constantly highlighting these mistakes here from the Giants side, but we have to compliment, of course, Gambit on how they decisively stuck to what the idea was in the game, right? Get these two solo in his head, supplement that with a poke jungler, and eventually take the towers. And that manifested eventually in that sick play, or like the skirmish in the bot lane party. And that's the second replay. We can get that on your screen as well right now. That's where finally Giants lost control of the game, and Gambit ended up winning it.
Yeah, here we see the fight. Gosu Pepper just is disengaging with the Bard ult, and then Fizz gonna TP in soon. As you can see, they see it as well, backing off, but it's just too late at this point. Fizz is like ultra strong, and Diana is like not doing anything. Well, neither is Diamond, but
yeah,
still, Lulu is just massive coming in.
Yeah, you see Diamondprox dueling Nidalee, doing the Pepinero on the top lane, and this allows Betsy to roam, and once he comes in, he has so much crown control, and as you just said, like Fizz in the backline, once you let Cabochard teleport in the backline with that item advantage already, it's just so hard to win that fight. And Gosu Pepper, he did what he had to do. He bought some time with the Tempered Fate, and that was like the final play. At that point, the game was pretty much over, and controlled finish by Gambit. Last week against Copenhagen Wolves, it took them so long to close it. It was slow, it was messy, it wasn't organized, and we see again progression from Gambit, so things are looking good.
Definitely very fast and close that out. As a footnote, Cabochard 92 kill participation at the end of that game, highest this split. So, well, that is definitely a good pick for him coming out. As for us, we're going to take a short break as Elements' Roccat set up on stage. But stay tuned. The action continues right after this.
Okay, Cabo, you need the vision.
I need what? Hey, Capo, you need movement speed. Hey, forgiven, wake up. Hey, wake up.
Oh, he is burning away, and Frederick will come in and snipe him with the Praise Seeker. Now they're going in on Gosu Pepper. He won't last long. Betsy moving around the side, and he picks him up. Audrey's gone down, and now the Wild Growth on Betsy as the equalizer is thrown down. They don't have the damage in there. Is the cow thrown in? Diamond Prox chunked out, taken down by Audrey, but Giants are going to pay dearly. Gambit Gaming pick up another.